Hey, shot.
Cuesports.club, the new home of snooker.
Hi snooker fans, Curtis Braithwaite here for Cuesports.club. I'm down at Whetstone Snooker Club to do a Q&A session with the former world amateur champion, the big AB of London town himself, the legend, Alfie Burden. Alf, how are you, mate?
Good, thanks, Curtis. You?
Yeah, not bad, pal, not bad. And now tell us all in the beginning, pal, how it started. What made you take up snooker?
I first started picked a cue up when I used to go and watch my dad play football, and they had a pool table in the clubhouse, and I was intrigued by the pool table and used to like to have a little game, and I'd sort of wait hours by the pool table trying to get a game of pool. So it started like that really, and then my parents bought me a little table and I started playing a little bit at home, and that was how it started really.
Sound like you to be waiting around now, you're not really the patient type, are you, son?
Not the most, no.
Right, now to date, who's had the most influence on your career?
I'd have to say my mum and dad have been very supportive with whatever I've done in my life, you know, whether it be, started off obviously with my football career, and then ultimately it ran into my snooker career. And I'd say my parents, but outside of my parents, there's a couple of people who had quite a big influence on my snooker career when I first started playing seriously around about 16. And I'd like to mention them two really. One would be Neil Folds, who I used to practice a lot with from a young age, and he was fantastic with me. Started playing out of his snooker club in Ealing, and and used to play a lot with Neil, and he was brilliant with me, giving me plenty of advice, and we still remain good friends to this day. And the other one would be Ronnie Gross, who was just brilliant really. He was like a granddad to me. He had a snooker hall in Neasden, and I started playing up there a bit alongside Ealing, and he gave me loads of advice and took me under his wing. He was a former mentor of Jimmy's as well, he's a very good friend of Jimmy White's as well, and he started taking me round and backing me in big money games, and took me to practice with the likes of Jimmy. So yeah, I'd say like my parents, and then Neil Folds and Ronnie Gross.
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, I only met Ron Gross once, but top geezer he was.
He was, yeah.
And actually, talking about Ron Gross, I know you have the memorial tournament where you actually practice here at Whetstone Snooker Hall as well. Yeah. Great club, great setup. Ali, Hassan, all top guys.
Yeah, it's a fantastic club. I moved here about probably 4 years I've been playing here now, and I wished I'd have moved here earlier. You know, I wish I'd have moved to this club 4 or 5 years before. It's probably the best club I've ever played at. Yeah. The owner Ali and Hussein, who runs the place, they're different class, and they look after all the people in the club, but especially the pros, me, Anthony, and now Adita. It's just a great place to be. You know, they look after you, and we have a good laugh in there as well. So it's just a good environment to play snooker in.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Top club and top people, pal. Fully agree. And now, what are your goals for the coming season?
I don't really set myself goals, to be honest. I'm obviously need to get back in the top 64, because otherwise I'll be off the tour. So without setting any goals, I realise I know I need to be back in the top 64. So that'd be my main objective. But I won't be setting myself any goals. Just try and win a few matches, and hopefully that gets me back in the 64.
Okay, mate. Now tell us, pal, you've had a little bit of problem with your cue recently, so what cue are you currently using at the moment?
I'm currently using, well, for about a day and a half, I've got a John Paris. John's kindly made me a cue, so I'm just, my attention's been a bit distracted.
Is that you bird watching again, Alpha?
Yeah, but I'm currently using a John Paris. I've had that about a day and a half. Unfortunately, I had a Hunt and Osborne at Robert Osborne, who's a friend of mine as well. Through my career, I've had 2 cues which I've played with, and they've both been Robert Osborne's.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I had to have my last Robert Osborne cue altered recently, and I got it back, and the balance seems to have gone in the cue. It's lost a little bit of power. I tried having it altered back, but the cue just doesn't feel the same to me. It's still a beautiful cue. So if anyone wants to buy it, that's going to the highest bidder. But no, so I've now, John's made me a lovely cue. I've only had 1 day with it, and I'll be using that now, yeah.
Great stuff, man. Alf, I've just seen what just distracted you, mate. Bloody hell, it's distracted me and all, pal. Not the end of the world, is it?
Seen worse.
Now, what tip do you currently use?
I play with the Phoenix tip, the hard Phoenix.
Oh, now, you've had quite a big success in your career, winning the most prestigious amateur title of them all, being former world amateur champion. But what's your most memorable match in your career to date?
Difficult, really. I'd probably say when I played Drago at the Crucible, for a number of reasons. Obviously, playing at the Crucible was probably like the highlight of my career, really. Tony is a good friend of mine, and to play at the Crucible was amazing, and it was a very sort of highly charged match. I made a couple of centuries on my debut, which was great, and it was like a quick fire match, and it was just a really enjoyable thing. And obviously Drago went absolutely berserk when he cleared up and beat me 10-8, so I'll never forget that. So I'd probably say that match.
Sorry to ask you this one, pal, it's a bit of a sore one, but what's your most painful defeat?
I couldn't honestly pinpoint one, because obviously when you've been playing a long time, you have so many painful defeats, and I don't let defeats worry me too much, because I try and, I might have a little sulk for 5-10 minutes, and then I think to myself, there's more important things in life, than losing snooker matches. Obviously we all want to win, that's why we play, but I don't, I don't look back and think, oh, that was painful. It's just part of what we do. You win and you lose, and that's it.
Absolutely, fully agree. Now, you've played them all in your time, legends to current players, but who would you say is the toughest player on the tour to beat?
Mike Dunn. No, you know what? Like, obviously all the top players are hard to beat, but one player I particularly struggle with is Maguire. I think I've probably played him, 5-6 times. I'm not sure. I don't think I've beat him. He always seems to play great against me, and I never seem to get any run against him either. So yeah, I'd probably say Maguire. Like, I think he's a top player, which he is obviously, and yeah, I seem to struggle against him, so I'd say Maguire.
I wouldn't take that too personal, pal. There's a lot of people who struggle against him, pal, that's for sure. Right now, what's your best personal achievement in snooker to date?
There's not been loads, to be honest. I've not had a fantastic career. I'd probably say myself, I've underachieved for quite a few different reasons. I wouldn't, I actually won a pro event. I think it was around about the late 90s, 2000s. It was a UK tour, and I beat a Welsh guy called Anthony Davies in the final, 6-5. So everyone was allowed to play in that, bar the top 16. There was a series of tournaments they used to have called the UK Tour. You used to get 200-300 players in it. So to win a pro event, I'd say that was my best achievement, and I actually went on to get beat in the final of the second one in them, so I won 15 straight matches, professional matches. So I'd probably say that, really.
Yeah, I have to say, but that's some achievement, that, pal, because like you said, back then it was really something to win a tournament like that with such a high level of player and so many players as well.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, it's not like I say, I couldn't pinpoint loads of highlights. I'm disappointed in what I've achieved in the game so far. But to win a tournament, that's something that I can always be proud of. And obviously, I won the World Amateur title, which is another thing that I'll always be proud of. It's a massive title to win.
Absolutely, pal. Well, look, it's never too late. At the end of the day, you're still well in your prime as you continue at the shafts all the time, giving it a large bit in your old specs as usual. So plenty of time to still do the business, pal. Now, you've been around a long time. Is there any player who hasn't won a tournament that you feel has really got the tools to and can really see like breaking through at the moment?
Well, I think really there's loads of great players now. When you ask, is there any players that could win a tournament, you could probably say there was 20 or 30. The tour's so strong now, there's so many great players. But I will give you a couple of names because I like to give my opinion, as you know. So I would say I'm a big fan of Jack Lazowski. Okay. I think he's a super talented player, and obviously he's still young and learning different parts of the game. But I would think he would be one I would pick who could win a tournament. Another one would be your pal and my pal Kurt Mafflin, who again he's got all the tools to win tournaments. Another one I would say would be Ben Wollaston. He's got a great all-round game, and he's improving all the time. So I would say them three, and I'm a huge fan of the young Chinese player Zhu Long. What I've seen of him, he looks like he's going to do a lot of damage in the game. So I'd say them three guys I mentioned, and the young Chinese kid who's obviously a top prospect.
Yeah, I've got to fully agree with you with all three, and especially what you said about Zhu Yulong. I mean, that kid, he put my ears on my body standing up when I watched him play the first time. He's 6 inches behind every ball, just plays the game the right way as well, and you can only see good things from him, can't you, really?
Yeah, he looks a great player, yeah.
Correct, pal. Now, Alf, you're quite a very popular guy, very, very popular guy. You like to dig people out left, right and centre, myself included. But you're one of those infectious characters that no matter how much you do people's canisters in, they cannot help but love you, myself included. But tell us, who's your best friend on tour, pal?
Best friend on tour, well, Jimmy White is my friend, but he's more like family. You know, I've known him since I was a kid. I got introduced to him when I was about 14, 15, and we become very close, and I class him more like family. You know, he's been there for me, he's done me a few massive favours in my life, and so he's more like family. So when you talk about friends, I hate to mention this guy, but Hamilton is I'd have to say Hamilton. I've been at this club 4 years, and I don't really like getting up him, but he is a real top guy. You know, he's given me a lot of advice as well later on in my career now since I've come here. He's actually improved certain parts of my game, which I hope can come out over the next couple of years, and we get on well. I give him plenty of stick, he gives me stick, and yes, I'd say Hamilton.
Yeah, the Sheriff's a top bloke, isn't he? Top leader, Sheriff, definitely. Now this is a bit of an interesting one, pal, because you keep giving it Charlie Big Spuds about your cooking in the kitchen, mate, right? Which I haven't actually tasted yet, but you sent me plenty of pictures, and I must admit, pal, they look very, very good. But what is actually your favourite food?
Do you know what I like? I like so many different foods. I love cooking, as you know. But I like fish, seafood, love scallops, king prawns, lobster, sea bass. I love a bit of sea bass. And I love a roast dinner. Yeah. Bit of your favourite homemade lasagna, because if you don't get your lasagna when we're at tournaments, we all know it goes off.
Absolutely,
the toys come out the pram. If lasagna ain't on the menu, the toys come out and it all goes off.
Absolutely.
No, so I love food, and I love to eat good food. I like to, when you take me places like Frankie and Benny's, and I order chicken wings and they come out burnt, and like warm milkshakes and all that, it don't go down too well. But I love eating good food. I like to cook good food. I like to look after my children and feed them properly. I think it's very important.
Yeah, top man, I fully agree with you there. Now, for the record, Paolo, at the end of the day, mate, when you go to an Italian and there ain't a lasagna on the menu, mate, it's never been an Italian, has it, pal? Let's say how it is, pal. Do you know what I mean?
I'll let you have that one.
As for the family, just for a minute, pal, for actually next question, seen plenty of videos of your little man, Lenny. Top drawer. He's playing at Arsenal at the minute. And from what I've seen, pal, but you can elaborate a little bit more, he looks like he's destined for the top.
Well, it's obviously very early, still young, but he's, you know, he's very, very talented. He's, you know, I think he's an exceptional young player, and he loves it. You know, he's doing what he loves, and myself and his mum fully support what he does. And you know, it's a big commitment on our part because it takes up a lot of time and effort. And we've obviously got 2 kids. I've got my daughter Bo as well, who's amazing. But yeah, he's, you know, he's got every chance if he wants to dedicate himself to it and really wants to do it, and it's what he wants to do. I'm 100% behind backing him and doing anything I can to help him achieve his dream. But you know, he's got a lot of supporters. He's at Arsenal, as you mentioned. He's been there since he was 7. You know, he trains 3 times a week. He plays his matches on a Sunday morning. He's starting to go on tours. He's Germany, Holland. We're actually going to Holland Friday, where he's been asked to play up a year for the year above. You know, he's an exceptionally talented young player, and I got high hopes that he's going to, you know, go a long way.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I've met both your kids on quite a few occasions. Special little girl Bowie, and then he's a great character, a little bit like
Cheers.
Yourself, but yeah, quality, mate. Top draw.
Cheers.
Alf, tell us your favourite drink, mate.
My favourite drink. When I go out, I love a bottle of Corona with a nice slice of lime in it, Curtis. Nice and refreshing, mate. And but if generally in the day and that, I just drink water. I don't drink tea or coffee. I was never brought up on tea or coffee. My parents never give me it, and so I never drink that. So daily, really, I just drink plenty of water. And if I go out, which is very rare now, I'm getting older, no one invites me out anymore. Yeah, I like a bottle of Corona and maybe a couple of large vodkas later on in the evening.
Alf, I might like to add, mate, it's a nice pair of glasses you got there, pal. I mean, the last time I saw you had a nice pair of Pradas, mate. I don't know what happened to them, mate.
Yeah, well, you want to ask your big pal Keith where they gone, because we was at a tournament together, and I left them in my hotel room. I think I might have been sharing a room with him, I can't remember. It's a bad mistake as well. He's permanently got one hanging out of his nose on the balcony. But I left the Pradas in the room, so I rang him up. I said, Kurt, I said, bring my Pradas home for me, mate. We have left them in the room. Yeah. So yeah, I turn up at the next tournament and he's got the Pradas on, and I never got them back.
He actually swears and says that's the best pair of glasses he's ever had. So
yeah, but I treated myself to these Tom Fords, named famously after the fantastic player Tom.
Quality stuff, pal. Now, Alf, you played at all the venues in Asia and in the UK, qualified for the Crucible, as we said earlier on. But what's your favourite venue to play at?
Oh, it'd definitely be the Crucible. Yes, unbelievable. I only got there the once, lost in the final round on numerous occasions to get there. But it's always been a massive disappointment. I've not been there more. Hopefully I can put that right. But the Crucible, I mean, some people when they make their debut there, the throws, and haven't enjoyed it. I played great, had a couple of centuries amongst other breaks. I just loved playing there. I'm a people person anyway, so I like playing in front of a crowd. So I'd definitely say the Crucible. Obviously a lot of the other venues are so similar now. All the qualifying venues are sort of exactly the same. The old PTC events, which we don't seem to have now anyway, they finished this season, they was all sort of the same. So yeah, I'd definitely say the Crucible. Quality.
Now, pal, I've seen you drop a few shapes on the dance floor, and a few times we've been out, mate. And I know you're not shy to get up and show us your steps. But what's actually your favourite music you like to listen to?
I'm not. Do you know what? I'm not really fussy. I listen to anything. I like. I like Michael Jackson and people like Florence and the Machine, and I like anything really. I'm not fussy. I'll just I'll have a little show a bit of movement to anything. A bit like you, Curtis. I've seen you in the car, mate. Start moving the head around and all that.
I quite remember you being a big Luther fan as well. You're a big Luther Vandross fan, weren't you, Alf?
Yeah, I like all the old school singers, like proper singers. I like to hear someone sing.
Yeah.
I'm not into that, like all that banging stuff. I like to hear a proper singer.
Well, not that type of banging anyway. Do you
banging
know what I mean?
out a good tune, you know.
Yeah. Gotcha, mate. Gotcha. So, who was your sporting hero when you were growing up?
Well, that had obviously, because I was a footballer and that's what I was going to be. So it would. I had so many favourite players. As everyone knows, I'm a big Arsenal fan. But actually, it might surprise a few people that a lot of my favourite players, I had a few favourite players, and a couple of them actually play for Spurs. I loved Glenn Hoddle as a young player. I thought he was unbelievable. Just loved the style he played with, and just his range of passing. He's just exceptional. I like Chrissy Waddle. Was another Spurs player because I was a winger myself. I just loved the way he turned fullbacks inside out, and it's just brilliant to watch. I loved Peter Beardsley. Thought he was so talented, and Gazza obviously, and Arsenal players. I obviously always liked Anders Limpar, was a big favourite of mine, another winger. A sporting hero. Yeah, I didn't have any real heroes, but I just admired them, the top footballers. I just used to love watching. And I've named you a few, but it would be footballers who I idolise,
Yeah, absolutely. And last question, pal. If you could run world snooker, what changes would you make and why?
Well, I've heard a few of your interviews. I've had a look at a few of your interviews and seen what a few of the players have said and that. And I'd have to agree with a lot of some of their answers, and the main one being, which I think is a must going forward, is to take less players overseas, because just throws up so many problems. Players struggle to practice. It just seems ludicrous to have 64 players in China trying to get on free practice tables. So that would be the main one for me. I would take less players to the overseas events. I don't see why it would be such a big problem to have an extra qualifying round at the venues at home, and then take 32 players, or even 16 in some case, to some venues. I think it gives players more as well a sense of achievement when they're at a main venue, that they've actually really achieved something and they've qualified during the last 16 or the last 32 of an event. There's also the fact that they're then on a decent paycheck, so they're flying somewhere but they know they're on a decent paycheck. So that would be the main one. And the other one I would have a scream up about is I'd like to see some more qualifying more south. We just, throughout my career, it always seems we've only ever qualified up north, which suits the players who live up north, obviously. And I know the Welsh players and the Scottish players, it's difficult for them, wherever it may be. But I just like to see some qualifying venues come a bit further down south. I think that'd be good.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. It's always a trek for us London boys. 3-4 hours all the time. It's not great at all, is it?
No, but there you go. It's I must say, like the tour now, compared to if you go back to probably the early 2000s, like the young players now are so lucky the amount of tournaments they got to play in. I look back and think when we was on the tour back then, and you might have had 7 or 8 events. Worst case scenario, I think a couple of seasons we had like 6 tournaments to play in.
Yeah.
So it was terrible. But Barry's done a great job. Obviously, there'll always be things that can be improved, and there'll be things players are not happy with. But in general, the sport's in great shape. There's a lot of snooker on TV again. There's Eurosport are doing a great job. I think the panel on there are great. It's a bit exciting. I think Colin Murray's good with Neil and Jimmy and Ronnie and that. So there's so many positive things happening for snooker, so we can't moan too much, you know.
Well, Alf, so mate, thank you so much for your time, pal. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And all of us at Cuesports Club want to wish you and little Lenny all the very, very best for the coming season.
Cheers, Curtis.
Top man. Cheers.